3 years ago, I, Emily Harper, married into one of Seattle's wealthiest families. Everyone said I'd hit the jackpot. Ryan Caldwell, the only son of the Caldwell real estate empire, charming, loaded, and supposedly in love with me. The wedding was beautiful, the honeymoon was perfect, and for a while I actually believed I'd found my forever. Then reality kicked in. His mother never hid her disgust that her precious son married a nobody from a regular middle-class neighborhood. She made sure I knew I was tolerated, never accepted. Ryan laughed it off every time she called me that girl to my face. He told me to ignore it, said she'd come around. She never did. For 3 years I swallowed every insult, every eye roll, every backhanded comment at family dinners. I dressed down, kept quiet, and let them think I was just the lucky broke girl who somehow tricked their prince. I smiled while they talked about me like I wasn't sitting right there. Until the night I decided enough was enough. That one dinner changed everything. One slap across my face in my own dining room. 1 second of silence from the man who swore to protect me. And 1 sentence from his little sister that flipped their entire world upside down. If you want to know exactly how I made the Caldwell family regret ever looking down on me, stay until the end, because the moment I wiped the blood off my lip and smiled, their perfect little empire started to crack. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't believe what happened next. 2 weeks before I finally snapped, Ryan came home from the office and dropped his keys on the kitchen island like he owned the place, which he still thought he did. Emily, listen, my mom wants to do dinner at our house this time. She says it's been too long since she's seen the place. He said it casually, loosening his tie, but I caught the edge in his voice. She's bringing Lily, too. Just family. Nothing big. I was chopping vegetables for the staff meal at one of my hotels that afternoon, testing a new menu, and I already knew what was coming. Patricia Caldwell had never stepped foot in the Mercer Island house since we moved in 18 months earlier. She always insisted we come to the Bellevue mansion instead, because it's more appropriate. Translation, she didn't want to lower herself to whatever she imagined my taste looked like. Ryan kept talking while pouring himself a drink. One thing, babe, wear something simple, like the navy dress you wore to the country club last summer. Nothing flashy. Mom gets weird about new money showing off. You know how she is? New money. That was rich coming from him. The Caldwells had made their fortune in the 90s boom, same as half the zip codes around Lake Washington. But in Patricia's mind, they were old Seattle royalty and everyone else was an intruder. I put the knife down and wiped my hands. Ryan, this is our house. I'm hosting. I'll wear whatever I feel comfortable in. He laughed, the short kind that told me the conversation was already over in his head. Come on, Em. Don't start. Just keep it low-key. She still thinks you're, regular. It's easier for everybody if we don't rub anything in her face. Regular. That word had been following me for 3 years. I'd let it slide because I hated conflict, hated the idea that people only liked me for what I had. When Ryan proposed on that yacht in the San Juans, I genuinely believed he loved the girl who grew up in a split level in Tacoma, not the woman whose trust quietly owned 62% of the biggest privately held hotel chain on the West Coast. So I nodded, played along. Again. The calls from Patricia started the next morning. First one came while I was in a board meeting, phone on silent. I saw the missed call and the voicemail notification and already felt my stomach knot. Emily, it's Patricia. I assume Ryan told you about dinner? I'll be bringing the good wine because I know you two only keep that cheap California stuff. Also, please don't serve anything too exotic. My stomach can't handle all that fusion nonsense anymore. Delete. Second call, 2 hours later. I've been thinking, maybe you should let the country club cater. It would save you the embarrassment of trying to impress us with whatever you picked up at Whole Foods. I stopped answering after the 4th call in 2 days. She left another voicemail telling me not to wear open-toe shoes because it looks desperate in October. Ryan overheard one of them on speaker by accident and just shrugged. She's old school, Em. She means well. She didn't mean well. She meant control. While they planned their little inspection visit, I did my own planning. I called Marco, my house manager for the last 10 years. the man who had been with me since I took over the family company at 24. Saturday night. 8 courses. The full crystal, the 1996 Krug I've been saving, the truffle menu Chef Daniel has been begging to try, flowers from Fana, the big arrangements, and tell security to be on standby, casual dress, no uniforms. Marco didn't ask why. He never did. Understood, Miss Harper. Ryan walked in while I was on the phone and raised an eyebrow at the dining room table being set for 12 instead of 5. Who else is coming? Just us, I said, smiling sweetly. I just wanted to feel special. He kissed my forehead like I was a cute kid who'd overdone the birthday decorations. Whatever makes you happy, babe. Patricia kept texting that week, little jabs disguised as advice. Don't bother with place cards, dear. We're family. Maybe skip the red lipstick. It photographs heavy. Are you sure the house is big enough for all of us? Bellevue has more parking. Each one landed like a paper cut. Small, stinging, and way too many. Lily, Ryan's younger sister, was the only one who stayed quiet. She sent me a single text 3 days before. Can't wait to see the house, Em. Mom's being extra. Ignore her. I stared at that message longer than I should have. Lily was 22, fresh out of UW, still living on her parents' dime, but sharp enough to see through the performance. I wondered which side she'd pick when everything finally hit the table. By Friday night, the house smelled like white truffles and money. The staff had turned the dining room into something out of a magazine. Low lighting, candles everywhere, the water view glittering behind floor-to-ceiling glass. Ryan walked through, took one look, and frowned. This is too much, Emily. Seriously, tone it down before tomorrow. I was standing at the island in yoga pants and an old Harvard hoodie, hair in a messy bun, sipping coffee like I didn't have a care in the world. It's just dinner, Ryan. He shook his head and walked away, muttering something about his mother having a heart attack when she saw the crystal. Let her, I thought. I had spent 3 years being small for them, quiet for them, grateful for them. Saturday night was going to be the last time I ever played that role. Saturday evening, the doorbell rang right at 7 sharp, because Patricia Caldwell believed being fashionably late was a privilege reserved for people with actual social status. Marco opened the door and I heard her voice carry through the foyer before I even saw her. Well, it's bigger than I expected. Still doesn't compare to Bellevue, but at least it's not a condo. Ryan walked in first, kissed me on the cheek like everything was normal, then stepped aside so his mother could make her entrance. Patricia wore a cream Chanel suit, pearls tight around her neck, and the same pinched expression she saved just for me. Lily trailed behind in jeans and a UW hoodie, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. I'd gone with the navy dress Ryan wanted, simple, knee-length, nothing that screamed money. Hair down, minimal makeup, the diamond studs I usually wore swapped for tiny gold hoops. I looked like the girl they wanted me to be. Patricia scanned the entryway, lips pursed. Interesting art. Very contemporary. Translation, ugly and overpriced. She handed Marco her coat like he was the help, which technically he was tonight, then sailed past me toward the living room without a hello. Ryan followed, already loosening his collar, acting like this was just another Saturday. Lily hung back, gave me a quick hug. You look pretty, Em. House looks amazing. At least one of them had manners. I led them through the main hall toward the terrace bar where appetizers waited. Caviar on blinis, fresh oysters, Wagyu sliders the size of silver dollars. Patricia stopped dead when she saw the spread. Goodness, Emily! Did you rob a cruise ship buffet? She laughed at her own joke, high and sharp. Ryan snorted beside her. I smiled the way I'd practiced in the mirror 100 times. Just wanted everyone comfortable. Please, help yourselves. Patricia picked up a blinie with 2 fingers like it might bite her, examined it, then put it back down untouched. I'll wait for the real food, watching my figure. Ryan grabbed 3 sliders and a glass of the Krug I'd opened, not even noticing the year. Mom's right. This is a little much for family night. They moved to the seating area overlooking the water. Patricia settled into the biggest chair like it was a throne, crossed her legs, and started in. So, Mercer Island. Cute. A little nouveau for my taste, but I suppose it's convenient for Ryan's commute. She said commute like most people say community college. I poured myself a glass of sparkling water, stayed standing. We like the privacy. Privacy, she repeated, drawing the word out. Yes, well, some people need that when they're still adjusting to a certain lifestyle. Ryan scrolled his phone, barely listening. Lily shot me an apologetic glance and busied herself with an oyster. Patricia kept going. The driveway's narrow. Our driver almost scratched the Bentley getting in. You really should have thought about guests when you picked this place. I took a slow sip. There's plenty of parking in the lower garage if you'd used it. She waved a hand. Anyway, the view's nice, I'll give you that. Though the Medina side has better sunsets. Ryan finally looked up. Mom, relax. It's fine. Fine. Everything was always fine with him. Dinner was announced 20 minutes later. We moved to the dining room and Patricia actually paused in the doorway, taking in the long ebony table, the orchids climbing 3 feet high, the place settings that cost more than most people's rent. She recovered fast, very ambitious. Did Pinterest tell you to do this? Ryan pulled out her chair, then mine, still oblivious. Lily sat across from me and mouthed sorry when her mother wasn't looking. The first course came out, hamachi crudo with yuzu and gold leaf. Patricia stared at it like it had personally offended her. Raw fish. How trendy. She pushed it around with her fork. Didn't eat a bite. Second course, lobster bisque poured tableside from individual copper pots. She tasted 1 spoonful and set the spoon down. Too much sherry. Gives me a headache. Ryan ate everything put in front of him, complimenting the food between bites, then adding, You didn't have to go this crazy, Em. We would have been happy with steak. Patricia dabbed her lips. Exactly. Simple as elegant. Overdoing it just looks desperate. I kept my voice level. I thought we'd try something different. Different, she echoed, smirking at Ryan. That's one way to put it. By the time the Wagyu arrived, medium rare, truffle butter melting on top, she'd moved on to my outfit. Navy again. Safe choice. Though I did notice the shoes are last season. Not that anyone's judging. Ryan chuckled. She's teasing, babe. I wasn't so sure. Lily tried changing the subject, asking about the art on the walls, but Patricia talked right over her. I mean, really, Emily, you don't have to try so hard. We already let you in the family. Let me in. Like I'd begged at the gates. The plates kept coming. Patricia found something wrong with every single one. Too salty, too rich, too small, too pretentious. Ryan backed her up each time with a laugh or an eye roll, like we were in on the same joke. I sat there, hands folded in my lap, feeling the heat build behind my eyes, and waited. The dessert plates had just been cleared when Patricia leaned back in her chair, wine glass cradled like a weapon, and decided the real meal was about to begin. She started soft, almost sweet. Emily, dear, how is your mother doing these days? Still in that little house in Tacoma? The way she said little made it sound like a trailer park. I kept my voice even. She's good. Traveling in Arizona right now with her sisters. Patricia smiled the way sharks do. How nice. Retirement must be such a relief when you've worked retail your whole life. Ryan lifted his glass in a mock toast. Some people are built for the service industry, right, Mom? They both laughed, the same short, practiced laugh. I felt the heat crawl up my neck, but I stayed quiet. Patricia wasn't finished. You know, Ryan dated a girl from Lake Forest Park once. Lovely family, 3rd-generation Microsoft money. She went to Dartmouth. We were all so disappointed when that ended. Ryan shrugged, still grinning. She was high maintenance. Exactly, Patricia said, eyes locked on me. Some women understand the responsibility that comes with a certain name. Others just enjoy the ride. The staff brought coffee in the 1982 port. Patricia waved hers away. I'll stick to red. Port is for celebrations, and tonight feels more like an intervention. Ryan barked a laugh, slapped the table hard enough to rattle the crystal. Intervention. Good one. Lily stared at her plate. Patricia kept going, voice dropping into that fake concerned tone people use right before they gut you. We've all appreciate how hard you try, Emily. Really. The cooking classes, the charity boards, the little attempts at culture. It's sweet. But deep down, we both know you'll never quite fit. I set my cup down carefully. Fit into what exactly? She gestured around the table, the room, everything. This, our world. Ryan needs someone who grew up understanding how things work. Someone who doesn't have to Google which fork to use. Ryan nodded along, swirling his port. She's not wrong, Em. You do fine, but sometimes it shows. Sometimes it shows. 3 years of hosting their friends, organizing their galas, signing their checks, and it still showed. Patricia leaned forward, elbows on the table, something she'd scold me for doing last Christmas. Let's be honest. If Ryan hadn't put a ring on it, you'd still be managing that mid-tier hotel in Bellevue, smiling at guests while they complained about the Wi-Fi. Ryan raised an eyebrow at me, amused. She was assistant GM, Mom. Not exactly the mailroom. Same difference, Patricia said, dismissing 28 floors of luxury with a flick of her wrist. Point is, gratitude goes a long way. Some girls forget that once they get the last name. I felt my pulse in my teeth. Lily finally spoke, voice small. Mom, maybe we change the subject. Patricia turned on her like Lily had suggested serving boxed wine. Stay out of grown-up talk, darling. This is for your brother's future. Ryan lifted a hand, still smiling. It's fine, Lil. We're just keeping it real. Keeping it real meant Patricia listing every place I didn't belong. The yacht club, the foundation board, the vineyard tour in Napa, where I apparently embarrassed them by asking about soil types. Each memory got twisted until I was the punchline. She finished with the one that always hurt most. I told Ryan from the beginning, marry in your tax bracket, or don't marry at all. But he insisted you had potential. Potential is cute at 25. At 32, it just looks tired. Ryan lifted his glass again. She's harsh, but she loves you. Love. I tasted metal in my mouth and realized I'd bitten the inside of my cheek hard enough to bleed. Patricia wasn't done. She reached across the table, patted my hand like I was a nervous puppy. Don't look so devastated, dear. We kept you around this long. That has to count for something. Ryan checked his watch. Mom, ease up. She gets it. I pulled my hand away slowly. Patricia's smile went razor thin. Does she? Because sometimes I wonder if she understands how easily replaceable she actually is. The room went quiet except for the soft clink of Ryan setting his glass down. Lily stared at me with something close to panic. I looked straight at Patricia, then at Ryan, who was already reaching for the port again, ready to move on to the next topic like nothing happened. That was the exact moment I decided the next words out of her mouth would be her last ones in my house. Then Patricia pushed her chair back so hard it screeched across the hardwood. She stood, one manicured finger pointed straight at my face, wine sloshing over the rim of her glass and staining the white tablecloth dark red. You sit there acting like you belong, but you're nothing but a gold-digging little climber who got lucky. Her voice cracked through the room like a whip. 3 years and you still think you're one of us? You're a joke, Emily. A cheap, desperate joke. Ryan stayed seated, arms crossed, watching his mother the way people watch tennis, head moving side to side, waiting to see where the next shot landed. I didn't move, didn't speak. Patricia took one step closer, heels clicking, fingers shaking now. I've smiled for cameras while you embarrassed this family at every event. I've held my tongue while you spent my son's money on trashy clothes and tacky vacations. I've let you live in this overpriced box because Ryan felt sorry for you. Another step. She was close enough that I could smell the Bordeaux on her breath. But tonight you went too far with this circus, she hissed, sweeping her arm across the table, knocking over a water glass that shattered on the floor. You thought you could show off and we'd clap like trained dogs? Ryan finally opened his mouth, but only to sigh. Mom, sit down. He didn't look at me. Didn't tell her to stop. Just sighed like this was a minor inconvenience between commercial breaks. Patricia ignored him completely. Her eyes were glassy, wild, cheeks flushed from the wine and the rage she'd been saving for years. You don't get to play lady of the manor in a house my son paid for, she spat. You don't get to serve me fish eggs in $1,000 bottles and pretend you earned any of it. I felt the shift inside me, cold and clean, like someone flipped a switch. Every ounce of warmth I still had for these people drained out through my feet. She raised her hand. I saw it coming, saw the open palm, the diamond bracelet flashing under the chandelier, and I still didn't move. 3 years of swallowing poison had taught me how to stay perfectly still. The slap landed hard across my left cheek, sharp and loud, snapping my head sideways. Pain exploded white-hot, followed instantly by the warm trickle of blood where her ring caught the corner of my lip. The room froze. Lily gasped, hands flying to her mouth. Ryan's eyebrows lifted a fraction, then settled back into bored indifference. He picked up his phone, thumb scrolling like nothing happened. Patricia stood over me breathing hard, hands still raised, trembling with adrenaline. I tasted copper, felt it drip onto my chin, onto the navy dress Ryan had chosen because it didn't look expensive. I didn't cry, didn't flinch, didn't cover my face. I just looked up at her, then slowly turned my head toward Ryan, waiting for something, anything, a word, a movement, a single sign that the man I married still existed somewhere inside that suit. He met my eyes for half a second, then glanced away and took another sip of port. That was it. That was the exact moment the marriage died. Patricia lowered her hand, smoothed her jacket, and gave a small, satisfied smile like she'd just taken out the trash. Someone had to do it, she said to the table, to no one, to the universe. Maybe now she'll learn her place. Blood kept sliding down my chin, slow and steady. I let it. Before anyone could react, Lily jumped up so fast her chair toppled backward and crashed against the floor. "Mom, you just hit the owner!" The words shot out of her like gunfire, sharp and impossible to ignore. Every head snapped toward her. Patricia's mouth actually fell open, lipstick-perfect teeth showing for once. Ryan's phone slipped from his fingers and clattered against his plate. Lily stood trembling, fists clenched at her sides, staring straight at her mother. "This house, this table, the wine you've been drinking all night, everything here belongs to Emily. She owns 62% of Harper Lux Hotels, the company your precious real estate empire leases half its office space from, the company that quietly funds 3 of Dad's retirement communities." Patricia made a choked sound, half laugh, half cough. "That's absurd. Ryan bought this house." "No," Lily said, voice shaking but steady. "Ryan put 20% down with the bonus from the last development deal. Emily paid cash for the rest and put the deed in her name only. I saw the closing documents when I interned at the title company last summer." Ryan finally found his voice, low and disbelieving. "Lily, stop. You're confused." "I'm not confused," she fired back. "I've known for 8 months. I kept quiet because Emily asked me to. She wanted you to love her for her, not her money. Guess we all see how that worked out." Patricia's face went from flushed to ghost white in seconds. She looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time, eyes darting from my bleeding lip to the orchids, to the baccarat crystal, doing the math and hating every zero. "You little liar," she whispered, but the venom had leaked out of it. I still hadn't moved. The blood had started to dry, sticky against my skin, but I didn't wipe it away. "Let them see." Lily kept going, louder now. "She's worth more than your entire portfolio, Mom. The hotels, the private jets, the vineyard in Woodinville you bragged about visiting last month. Emily signed the check, and you just assaulted her in her own dining room." Ryan stood halfway up, then sat back down, hands gripping the edge of the table. "Emily, tell her she's wrong." I finally lifted my gaze to him, slow and calm. "She's not wrong." Patricia clutched her pearls like they could save her. "This is a trick, some pathetic attempt to—" "It's not a trick," Lily cut in. "Google it right now if you don't believe me. Harper Lux filed the annual report last month. Emily Harper is the majority shareholder. Has been since her father passed." The silence that followed was thicker than any I'd ever felt. You could hear the lake lapping outside, the hum of the wine fridge, Marco's quiet footsteps in the hallway. Patricia's eyes filled with tears, real ones this time, not the crocodile kind she used at charity auctions. "You let us think. All this time." I tilted my head. "You never asked." Ryan looked like someone had punched him in the stomach. He kept opening and closing his mouth, searching for the version of me he thought he knew, and coming up empty. Lily stepped around the table, stood beside my chair, close enough that her arm brushed mine. "I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner, Em. I should have." Patricia tried one last time, voice cracking. "Ryan, do something." He looked at his mother, then at me, then down at the blood on my dress. For the first time all night, something that might have been shame flickered across his face. But it was too late, and we both knew it. I reached for my napkin, pressed it gently to my lip, and smiled. I touched my lip, tasted blood, and smiled. The metallic tang felt like freedom. "Marco," I said, calm and clear, "please show my guests the door." The double doors to the dining room opened instantly. Marco stepped in first, black suit perfect, face blank the way only 20 years of service can teach a man. Behind him came 2 off-duty Seattle PD officers I keep on retainer for hotel security, both in plain clothes, both built like linebackers. Patricia's head jerked toward them, then back to me. "What is this?" Ryan half rose from his chair. "Emily, come on." I lifted one finger. The officers stopped beside Patricia's chair. Marco stayed at my right. I stood slowly, napkin still pressed to my mouth, and looked Ryan dead in the eye. "This house is mine. The cars in the garage are mine. The company that pays your salary, your bonus, your country club membership, and the lease on your downtown office is mine. The allowance your mother lives on comes from dividends I personally approve every quarter." Patricia tried to stand, but her legs betrayed her. She gripped the table edge instead. "You can't." "I can," I said. And I just did. I turned to Marco. "Mrs. Caldwell assaulted me on my property. Please escort her and Ryan out. Lily may stay if she chooses." Ryan's face went the color of old paper. "You're joking." I reached into the pocket of my dress, pulled out my phone, and slid it across the table. The screen showed the deed to the Mercer Island house, recorded King County, Emily Harper, sole owner, recorded 18 months ago. Next photo, the corporate registry for Harper Lux Holdings, my name in bold as majority shareholder. Next, the prenup he'd signed without reading, page 12, infidelity and abuse clauses highlighted in yellow. He stared at the screen like it was written in another language. Patricia found her voice again, shrill now. "You planned this. You set us up." "No," I said. "I gave you 3 years to treat me like a human being. You chose tonight to remind me I never was one in your eyes." Marco moved behind Patricia's chair. One of the officers took position behind Ryan. I kept my voice level, almost gentle. "You have 5 minutes to leave. Anything left behind will be donated to charity tomorrow morning." Ryan tried one last time, standing fully now, palms open. Baby, we can talk about this. I didn't know. You didn't want to know." I cut in. "You liked the version where I needed you. Turns out I never did." Patricia lunged forward, tears streaking mascara down her cheeks. "You'll regret this. We have connections, lawyers, the press. We'll hear that Patricia Caldwell assaulted the owner of Washington's largest private hotel group in front of witnesses," I finished. "Including 2 police officers. Go ahead, call them." She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. Lily stayed standing beside me, arms crossed now, watching her mother and brother like they were strangers. Ryan looked at the officers, looked at Marco, looked at me. Something inside him finally broke. Not love, not even regret, just the cold realization that the floor he'd been standing on had never been his. He grabbed his mother's elbow. "Let's go, Mom." Patricia jerked away from him, then from Marco's polite but firm hand. She tried for dignity, chin high, but her shoes clicked too fast across the marble, betraying the panic. At the threshold, she turned one last time. "You'll be nothing without our name." I smiled wider, blood crusting on my teeth. I was never anything with it. The doors closed behind them with a soft, final click. 10 minutes later, the front door closed behind them with the same soft click that ended every nightmare I'd lived for 3 years. Marco returned to the dining room, expression unchanged. "They're gone, Miss Harper. The car will take them to the Bellevue house," I've already alerted security there to expect them. I nodded. Lily was still standing beside my chair, eyes red but jaw set. You okay? She asked quietly. I will be, I said. She hugged me then, quick and fierce. The first real hug I'd gotten from a Caldwell in longer than I could remember. I'm sorry, Em, for all of it. You don't owe me apologies, I told her. You just gave me my voice back. She left an hour later, promising to call tomorrow. I believed her. The next 72 hours moved fast. Monday morning, Daniel Whitaker, my attorney for the last decade, filed for dissolution in King County Superior Court. Washington is a no-fault state. The papers were simple. Ryan got served at his office downtown while he was still trying to figure out how to explain the night to his partners. He signed without contest when he saw the prenup language. Any act of domestic violence voided his claim to everything acquired during the marriage. He kept his clothes, his 401k, and the Porsche I never liked anyway. Patricia tried to fight the assault charge. She hired the most expensive criminal defense firm in Seattle. Didn't matter. The two officers wrote reports. Marco provided the dining room footage from the discreet security system, and the prosecutor offered her a deal. Anger management classes, a year of probation, and a permanent protective order in my favor. She took it. The society pages still ran the story. Some things even old money can't bury. The Board of Caldwell Properties voted unanimously to remove Ryan as successor trustee of the family holdings. Their bylaws, written in the 90s when Seattle was wilder, contained a morality clause his grandfather insisted on. Physical violence toward a spouse triggered automatic disinheritance from control positions. Ryan kept his minority shares, but day-to-day power went to his uncle. Last I heard, he was interviewing for director-level jobs at companies that used to report to him. Patricia sold the Bellevue mansion 6 months later. Couldn't afford the taxes once my dividends stopped flowing into the family trust. She moved to a condo in Scottsdale. I still get the occasional venomous Christmas card. Lily finished her master's at UW, then came to work for Harper Lux as a project manager. She earned every promotion. We grab coffee every other Thursday and never talk about her mother unless she brings it up first. And me? I stopped hiding. I wear the red lipstick now. I fly the company jet when I feel like it. I sit on the boards that used to whisper behind my back, and they smile to my face because they finally understand who signs their checks. But the real change wasn't the money. I already had that. The real change was learning that love shouldn't require you to shrink, to beg, or to bleed quietly at your own table. If someone demands you play small so they can feel big, walk away. If they raise a hand, raise your standards higher. If they stay silent while you're being torn apart, let that silence be the last sound they ever make in your life. You are the owner of your story. Never let anyone else hold the deed.